it's my pleasure to be here today. And you might be wondering why someone from HR is standing up here talking about the digital world and what we're doing to try and transform our business and outcomes for citizens. Apart from running ATO People, which is a people function supporting over 18,500 employees, in fact, the people space in the ATO is also responsible for driving and leading the reinvention program. It's a transformational reinvention program which is really focused on transforming the ATO, a 100-year-old institution with a kind of gotcha mentality, into a contemporary organisation. Let's just say we want to be the Apple or Google of the public sector. So we've got a massive dream and a massive goal to achieve. And in driving that change, one of our biggest challenges is going to be the digital capability, capacity and competency of our workforce. Prior to joining the ATO, I worked for DHS, and that was a workforce of 36,000 people, and the same thing, DHS also is trying to reinvent itself and to be contemporary and modern, and digital by default is really the way in which they're going as well. So what I want to do today, before my fellow speakers come to the platform, is try to explain a little bit about the challenges that we face in a community or a workforce which is driving outcomes for citizens, but around the skills and capabilities of that workforce in the digital context in which we work in. So I just wanted to start by sharing with you some of the numbers around the workforce. And in the ATO, 75% of our workforce is what we would call a digital stranger. I myself am a digital stranger. I know that might be hard to believe. I don't look like I'm in the older generation, but I am, and I have the evidence to prove to you why I'm a digital stranger here today. 75% of our senior people, digital strangers, and we are making the decisions about the technology, the capability, the development, and the processes and procedures that are going to really be in place for the generations coming through. And the people coming through in the organisation for the first time are people who have much more skill and understanding of the technologies that are going to be driving the business outcomes that we are looking for in the future. So it's really important that we get the right employment frameworks and the right technologies and tools to support our workforce if we're going to be able to deliver. So let me just tell you a bit more about digital strangers. Now, this might frighten you, but it just really brings into stark contrast why this challenge is so significant. This is a 72-year-old lady who is a digital stranger. And if we do, in fact, go the way in which many governments are going and we start to employ people to the age of 72, this is what one of our employees could look like. Okay? Not that looks are everything, but I just want to show you what the challenges of capability and competency for digital strangers can be, and how important that's going to be us in thinking about the workforce of the future. So digital strangers, let me give you an example of what happens when you give them technology.
Okay, come on then.
Now, I might just repeat that.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay, come on then.
That's a digital stranger trying to use technology, and that's the outcome. I will just confess that is actually my mother.
And then if you go
Here's another digital stranger.
But generally speaking, if you just put it back to kind of that's sort of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just.
Yeah.
That's
now I'm
good.
going around.
Yeah.
I'll put the wheel back on, I think. There you are.
Let's see if I can get this one
That's
going.
fantastic.
That was me trying to use virtual technology. Virtual learning is one of the things that's really taking some countries by storm at the moment. In fact, in Afghanistan, when they were deploying troops to the front line, They use this technology to actually be able to deliver just-in-time training and just-for-me training for their workforce. And here I am struggling even to use the headset. I was actually changing a wheel on a Ferrari at this point. But it does go to show that we have a challenge if we're going to introduce technologies to digital strangers in actually being able to give them the competencies and the skills to be able to use them. And here's just another example. That's actually a video of the inside of my handbag that I took for 30 minutes. It was supposed to be a video of my trip to London on a study tour. So there's the evidence of me being a digital stranger. Anyway, let's get back to some serious business now. Digital strangers, as I've said, tend to have been born after the 1980s. They are very flexible and very agile in the way in which they transition through their career. They've come from the era of the typing pool, the office cubicles, then the offices, then back to open plan, then back to offices again. They have learned to be collaborative, they are communicative, they get up, they go and talk to people, they actually pick up the phone and speak to their colleagues when they have problems. And they do use technology. They do embrace the digital world. But unlike digital natives, it's not natural to them. They've had to learn to do this. They've had to learn to speak digital, and it's a second language, and they have an accent. And if you are a digital stranger, which is most of you in this room, because most of you didn't put your hand up to the digital natives, think about the way in which you use technology. Do you print your emails out? Do you tend to print a document and then edit it and then do that on the computer and send it back? Do you bring people into your office or around your workspace to share a website with them rather than sending them the URL? Do you call someone and say, "Did you get my email?" A digital native would never do that. Unheard of. So you can see digital strangers are quite happy to use and embrace technology. My mother, the first thing she does in the morning is open her iPad and go on Facebook just to see what's happening in the world. But it doesn't mean they're competent, capable, or have the capacity to embrace all the new technology that will be driving digital in the future. Let's have a look at digital natives. Here's a few photos for you. Digital natives, they're used to technology. They're young, they've grown up with it, and they embrace technology. But again, if you're thinking about the workforce, you need to think about how are they using it, and how does that translate into the tools, the systems, the way in which we enable them for the future. In this photograph, these are my twin daughters, they're 17. They've downloaded a yoga class onto their iPad, they've projected their iPad onto the Apple TV, and they're now doing their yoga class. They don't have to spend any money, they don't have to communicate with anybody, they're just doing it through technology. Here are some children of a friend of mine who, in their house, we counted, have 26 digital devices. 4 kids, 2 adults, 26 devices, and they're on these things all the time. How do they use technology? Fascinating. I watched my daughters the other day. They are doing an assignment. They spent an hour communicating with their buddies in their group. Not once did they speak to the other person. They did it all by text. Even when they were getting frustrated and upset, they used text messaging. When they go out for dinner, the digital strangers, we would make a phone call, plan a date, sketch up on Saturday, where would you like to go, discuss where we're going to go. Not digital natives. They wait till an hour before they decide they want to go out. They get their iPhones, text, where are you? I'm here, where should we go? Don't know, a few bit more of text. Then they use their Apple device, or, sorry, I shouldn't say Apple device, but they use their device to actually find out where to go and get to the restaurant. They do not even speak. And how does that translate into the workplace? Digital natives are brilliant at helping us with technology and using technology, but as we found in the tax office, they're very reluctant sometimes to get up from behind their desks. So there's a lot that we can each learn from each other. But what is also interesting is what we learned when we surveyed the digital natives, because in planning for this conference, I thought it would be good to talk to our grads and test some of the assumptions that we at the top of the organisation have been making around decisions that are investing in technology. And this is what was really surprising to me. Digital natives are not necessarily embracing the ideas and concepts for technology that we as senior people and digital strangers think they will. When we asked them about their own device and bringing their own device, many of them said to us, work is work and personal is personal. We don't want one device for both work and personal. They also said they didn't want to be expected to work outside of their work hours. And they said they want to be able to check their email occasionally, but they don't want to be connected to work 24/7. Digital strangers, on the other hand, said they're really happy to use digital devices. They think it's really useful to them and it helps them when they're claiming their tax deductions, all sorts of useful things that help them in their life. So there is a different mindset that we need to think about when we're thinking about these two groups of people. The other thing that digital strangers said was it was much more helpful for them in managing and juggling their lives, whereas digital natives felt that they wanted to come to work. They wanted the structure, they wanted the oversight, and they wanted the confidence that there would be somebody there to help them in the workplace. They also said they liked the social interaction that they got from work and that they actually felt there should be a separation between work and personal life. These are things that are really important to us when we're thinking about strategies for the workforce of the future. You all have heard a lot too about digital natives and career trajectories. We also asked about that in our research, and you can see many of the people who are digital natives are not thinking about long-term careers. I think many people have heard that in the past. They are thinking about their ability to move around and their ability to think about the different types of jobs that will be available in the future. And we know that digital transformation is driving a whole rethink about the design of jobs for the future. So I just wanted to end there because I'm very conscious of time. I hope I haven't rushed through too much. But I think that the research that we did really strongly suggests that it is important to co-design with your workforce in order to be sure that the assumptions that you're making about their needs and their requirements are not just assumptions, that they are actually grounded in the needs of the workforce. The second thing is that collaboration and co-design is critical if we're going to get this right, and if we're going to provide our workforce with the tools and the experiences that they need to develop and grow, we need to think of not digital natives and digital strangers, but a whole continuum from the very, very young who will be absolutely immersed in technology from a very young age, right through to the older generations who we will see people like my mother, scary as it may be, in the workforce, and the whole range of different skills, capability development, and requirements that they will have in order to be able to drive the changes that we are saying we need to deliver better outcomes for our citizens. Thank you.